Hey y'all, it's Bethany here. Welcome back to my channel, Bethany Brings Books. I am excited to do a video today talking about what I read in the month of March. So I had a pretty good reading month in the month of March. I read, let's see, I don't even know how many I read. Let me see. It's gonna sound like a lot, but I read 11 books. So that sounds like a lot, but it's not really a lot. It's because quite a few of these were like middle grade, very short books. So it's not a huge amount, but I'm happy with it. I feel like I did well. So yeah, let's talk about what I read. So I am participating in the Read Christian Romance reading challenge that Oshina is doing, and I did not get to that book. I did not get to this month's prompt, and that was read a new purchase, and I was planning to read this book, While the City Sleeps. I did not get to it, but I'm hoping to read it this month. Since I did not get to it, I'm hoping to read it in April. Really looking forward to that. But I did actually end up reading the book for the previous month, which was Try a New to You Author. So I did finish reading that. This was for that prompt for February. And I did finish reading, this is A Portrait of Emily Price by Catherine Ray. And I have to say, I really enjoyed this a lot more than what I thought initially. When I picked it up, it was very kind of slow moving, just very, it's not slice of life. It was very slow. So at first I was kind of like, I'm not sure what I'm going to think about this. But once I got into it, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I think I gave it either 4 or 5 stars. I'm not sure. It might have been 5 stars. It was either 4 or 5. But this is my first by Catherine Ray, and this book is set in Atlanta, Georgia, and initially it's set in Atlanta, Georgia, and we follow Emily Price, and she is a art restorer, I think is what it is. She works for an insurance company, and she restores some people's like possessions and art and things like that. Opens up, she's actually just traveled to Atlanta for a job. She is renting a studio space from a guy. His name is Joseph, I think, and he's from Italy. She's renting a studio space from him to like work on her work while she's there, to work on her pieces, restoration pieces. And he takes her to his family restaurant, and there she meets his brother Ben, who is over visiting from Italy, trying to help out at the restaurant. He wants to kind of do some renovations and things, update it to help his aunt and uncle be able to eventually sell it one day, and just to help get more customers and more cash flow. Anyway, Emily meets Ben, and they immediately are attracted to each other, and their romance is very fast, and they get married after 2 weeks. So, and that's on the back of the book. It talks about how they get married, but they get married very fast. And but it's still very realistic. Like, I know people who got married very fast like that, and she pulls it off. Catherine Ray pulls it off very well. And we just see Emily as she is figuring out life. You know, she ends up, of course, traveling back to Italy with Ben and meets his family, and there's issues there. You know, they're facing their issues as a couple who got married so quick without really knowing each other, and so they're having to grow as a couple. And there's kind of a mystery behind why Joseph, Ben's brother, why he left Italy years ago and has never really returned and doesn't really talk to his family. There's a whole mystery behind that, and I just really enjoyed it. I loved learning more about Italian culture, about art, about I love seeing the dynamics of the Italian family that Emily marries into. It's definitely more of a slower read for me, at least, but it's just, I feel like it's kind of a story of learning about who you are and where your place is in the world. we see that with Emily and with Ben. They're both figuring out like where they fit in life and what their purpose is, and I liked it. I really liked it, and I can't wait to read more by Catherine Ray. Then I also read, I'm just going to briefly mention some of the books that I read that I already did like a short video talking about them. All right, Eleanor has decided she wants to join me, so anyway, I had to adjust the curtains because the lighting was getting off. But I also read Sarah Plain and Tall and really enjoyed it. It was such a delightful short read, but it was just so sweet and it really touched my heart. It made me think about, I don't know, it just, some of the things the kids went through made me think about my own kids losing their dad. Hey, why don't you go see what Rilla's doing? And so it just kind of tugged at my heartstrings. Alright guys, I'm sorry I had to adjust the angle because the lighting in the evening like this is just, it's a bit much. Anyway, I read that. I also read the first 5 books in the Kit series from the American Girl historical series, and I enjoyed them. I think I feel pretty much the same as I felt when I was young. I liked them, and I particularly liked the one about Kit's birthday, but they weren't a favorite series of mine. I had several other American Girls that I liked better, so yeah, but I did like them, and I really want to rewatch the movie now. I feel like the movie was pretty fun. I do want to read the 6th one, hopefully in the next couple days. They're very short, easy reads, and actually I forgot to show y'all, but here they are. The first one, Meet Kit. Kit learns a lesson. Kit's surprise. This one was my favorite. I just loved Aunt Millie and all the ingenuity she had and how she came up with all these creative ideas to save money, and it made me want to make a dress out of flour sacks after I read this. And then this is the last one that I read, and I still have the 5th one, which is Changes for Kit, that I want to read. But they're a great series, historical series for young girls to read. I hope my daughter will enjoy reading them when she gets older. Really, and just teaching you about the Depression and what went on and what it might have been like in the life of a young girl during the 1930s and the Great Depression. I also will briefly mention this, Agatha Christie, Hercule Poirot's Christmas. I talked about this in another wrap-up. This is following a murder that has taken place at a estate around the Christmas holidays. It's a huge family that's all come home for Christmas, and there's been like a lot of kind of antagonism in the family through the years. The family leader is he's just not a good man. He's very controlling and a bit of a womanizer and greedy and stingy and just not very nice to his family. So when he is murdered, of course, there's all these people there that have motive to have murdered him, and Hercule Poirot comes along and solves the mystery. So did not at all see who it was coming. It was very much it was very much a surprise. So anyway, but it was okay. It wasn't the greatest to me. I think I was expecting something with more Christmas vibes than what I got from this. And I don't know, I just felt like it was kind of average. So I think I gave it like 3.75. I also read I Survived the Nazi Invasion. This is it's the graphic novel adaptation of the book from the I Survived series, and the illustrations are just really beautiful. I just love all of the illustrations in this series. They're very well done. But I will say this book was a lot heavier than any of the other books I've read in this series. After I read it, I was like reading more about, kind of looking up stuff about Hitler and I know about that time in history, and I know about Hitler and all of that, but it kind of made me want to refresh my memory, and it's just a really heavy story. That time period in history still really, I think, shocks me, that less than 100 years ago something like that happened. it still just blows my mind that that could have happened to the Jewish people and all the other groups of people who were involved in the massacre and the Holocaust and all of the things that were done to all of those groups of people by Hitler and his armies. And it's so sad to me. And so this book definitely, I think she did it in a way that it definitely is heavy, but it's also done tactfully and in a way that young readers can read and grasp it without it being too explicit. But I will say there is a few photos in here that are kind of gory. It doesn't back down from the blood and the death and the very dark reality of what happened during the Nazi invasion. And this is during the Nazi invasion in Poland, and a young Jewish boy and his sister end up running away from the ghetto and running into the forest. And something very interesting that I did not know is that there were actually camps of people in the forest who were fighting back against the Nazis, and some of them were Jewish, and others were just people from those countries who were trying to fight back against the Nazis and against what was going on at the time. And so this, I think it is just so well done, really well done. Definitely heavier than the rest in the series that I've read so far, but absolutely well done. Just a great way to bring a light to this part of history that so many people deny and so many people don't acknowledge or really don't know anything about. And so I thought it was really good. This was also one of my books on my 24 books to read in 2024, so I'm glad to get another one off my list because I'm really behind on that list and I really need to catch up. I also wanted to show this picture book that I read. This is Prince Edward Island, True Colors. Found this a long time ago. I love anything about Prince Edward Island or Anne of Green Gables, and this is just pictures. It's an older book, probably I think from the 90s, but it's got pictures of Prince Edward Island and it's really beautiful. I thought it was very pretty. My dream is to one day travel there. That's been like probably the place that I've wanted to go to the longest is Prince Edward Island. I've wanted to go there for years, and maybe one day I'll get to. It just looks so beautiful to me. Another book that I finished and read on NetGalley was the Songbird of Hope Hill. This is by Kim Vogel Sawyer, and it comes out later this year. I cannot remember honestly when it comes out. But I really enjoyed this book. It follows a young lady named Birdie who has recently been introduced into the world of prostitution. She lost her father, and her mother just leaves her behind and just goes off and leaves her, and she ends up turning to a friend of her mother's for help, and the help that the woman gives her is to try to get her into the world of prostitution. And so the first chapter or so we see her there, but I will go ahead and say there's no, to my recollection, there's absolutely no interactions between her and any of the men on page. When it opens up, she's been there like a week, I think. And then immediately within the next few pages, she is rescued. So if that's something that you don't like to read about, there's not any interactions between her and any men. And even in her thoughts about what happened to her, it's very vague, not anything specific or graphic or detailed at all. So I feel like even if you don't typically read books with this theme, this book you might still enjoy, because it's all of that is very it's there, but it's not detailed. So immediately after within the first chapter or two, Birdie, a preacher comes to visit the brothel where she's at, him and his son, and he is calling different women to come. He's asking them to come with him. Him and his wife have a house for young ladies who are involved in prostitution, to kind of rehabilitate them, to help them learn life skills, to help them get back on their feet and be able to find a job elsewhere, a productive job to be able to provide for themselves somewhere other than that horrible industry. And so Birdie chooses to go with Isaiah. Birdie chooses to go with Isaiah, the preacher, and his son Ephraim. We just follow Birdie as she's brought into this home, and she loves to sing, and so we begin to see that aspect of her as she begins to find her place there, and she is just kind of coming out of her shell, and she eventually finds salvation. And the faith elements in this are beautiful, amazing. This book, if you don't want to read a book with faith elements, then you definitely don't want to read this book, because this book is full of faith and it's beautiful. It's just probably one of the most faith-filled Christian books that I've read in a long time. It's just filled with them praying and them talking about God's will and just seeking God in every direction in their life. And they're traveling to revival meetings and preaching, and the girls are involved in a choir. They make up a choir that Ephraim, the preacher's son, helps lead. And so there's so much faith in this, and it's really beautifully done. And so if you are looking for a faith-filled book, then I would highly recommend this book. It's just, faith is all throughout the book. So yeah, and there is, I think on the back of the book, it kind of talks about there being a romance between Ephraim and Birdie. And I will say the romance is very, very, very light. Very light. Yes, they're attracted to each other, and, you know, they begin to like each other and stuff, but it's very light. Like, I definitely don't feel like it's the main theme of the story. You know, the main storyline really for me was Birdie and watching her life be changed. And then there's also a side storyline going on between Isaiah and his wife. She has a lot of health issues, and there's also some secrets and things going on. Something that comes out in the middle of this, comes out in the story. Just another side part of the story that we learn about, and just it's good, and I enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend this one. It's very sweet, very just faith-filled, like I said. Just the faith is so good, and it's just a beautiful story of redemption. I'm going to briefly mention another book that I read, and I'm not really going to talk about it until I read the second one, but it is called Before and After by C.B. Cabanis, and I do not know how to say this. This is a book from Courtney over at Courtney Reads. She's a fellow booktuber, and I would love for her to tell me how to pronounce this, her pen name, because I do not know how to say this. Cabanis, I don't know. I've went in my head like Cabanis, I don't know. But anyway, she reached out to me and asked if I would like to read her an arc for her upcoming book. I believe it releases in May, and it is called I've Said Love. I think that's the title. If it's not, I'll fix it. I'll put it up here, but I think it's I've Said Love. And I said yes, and so she also said she has a book that came out before this one, the first book in the series, and I think the series is called The Vows, like V-A-L-S, Vows. And so I did read the first one, and it's pretty short. I feel like it feels more like a novella. I'm not sure if she would classify it as a novella or not. It's a cute story about Valancy and Will, and I think that's his name, and how they reconnect over the Christmas holidays. And I really like Will's character. He was such a steady, I don't know, I just really liked his character. He was steady, he was always willing to help out, and much noticed the needs of others and immediately stepped in to help. But yeah, anyway, I don't want to talk about it much because I want to talk about them both at the same time when I read the other one. So thank you, Courtney, for letting me read that, and I'm going to talk about it more whenever I do read the other one. I'm hoping to read the other one in the next couple weeks. So yes, thank you for letting me read it, and y'all go support Courtney. She is a new indie author, and y'all go support her and just follow her channel. She's very sweet, and I am enjoying watching her videos. So yeah, thank you for letting me read that, and like I said, I'll talk more about it in a later video once I read the second one. I really want to read both of them and review them together. I'm interested to see the next book, what's going to happen with one of the side characters from the first book, and see where her story leads. I think that's everything that I've finished in the month of March. I have a couple more that I want to talk about that I'm currently reading. One that I definitely took up a lot of my time in March is Mansfield Park by Jane Austen, and I still haven't finished it, but I am very close. I have that much left, y'all. I think I'm on chapter 41, and there's like 47 chapters maybe. I have that much left. There's 48 chapters, and I'm on 41. But I will just say that so far I have adored this book. I have loved Edmund. He has just been such a steady and compassionate character. And I really like Fanny. I'm going to get into this more once I review it, but I personally find Fanny to be a very strong character. I have heard so many people say she's weak, and I think that if you look at her on a superficial level, at her timidity and her shyness, then you might think she's weak. But if you look into the deep character of who she is and just how she handles herself, how she stands up for her convictions and her morals, she isn't easily swayed by the opinions of others. Even though she is shy and she is timid, she still is not afraid to stand up for what she believes. She seems like a very mature character in many ways. And I like it. I love this, y'all. I don't know what's going to happen in the next few chapters, but if anything, if it's not something crazy, this is going to be a 5-star read and probably my favorite Jane Austen so far. Probably. I don't know. We'll see. But I really, really like this. And I've been buddy reading it with Anne from In Search of Wonder. But yeah, I've enjoyed just discussing it with her and reading it together. And it was actually a reread for her. So it was just interesting to hear her perspective on it and what she has thought this second time around reading it. Also, we're going to throw this one up again. Farmer Boy, still reading this. We are almost finished with this one as well. Just a few more chapters. Reading this with my kids, still enjoying it. They're still loving it. I'm really loving working my way through this series with my kids. And then another one that I've been reading forever and I put down for a while and I have picked back up and really enjoyed is The Wild Montana Skies by Susan May Warren. I have like this much left. Almost finished. Another one that I'm almost finished with, and I just need to go ahead and finish it. But I've been enjoying this and I put it down to read other books and I finally have picked it back up. But this is another one that I need to just go ahead and finish. And then lastly, I have started this. It's Labrador on the Lawn. I started this for middle grade March. I also started it because it's on one of the books my kids picked for me to read this year. And it's cute. I found it to be written in a surprisingly more, it doesn't seem as kiddish, I guess I would say, as some of the other books I've seen, like middle grade books like this. It just feels like it's written at a little bit higher grade level, which I actually like because it keeps it kind of entertaining and enjoyable even though it is middle grade. It feels like, so just say the I Survive series, for instance, that although I enjoy them, they are very kind of, the writing style is very kind of basic, so you can definitely tell they're for younger readers. And this one just feels like, even though I think it's aimed at the same audience age, it just feels like the writing feels like it has a bit more details and is maybe at a bit of a higher grade level. And also they're set in England, which I did not realize. I have a bunch in this series and I did not realize that they're set in England. So anyway, so that's it, guys. That's what I've been reading, what I am currently reading. And anyway, I can't wait to hear y'all's thoughts on these. Let me know what you think, if you've read these, what your thoughts are. I'm hoping to put out another video soon talking about what I want to read in April. Hopefully we'll get that done. I have a lot of things that I want to read for various reading challenges, and one reading challenge that I forgot to mention, I'm doing Chantel's reading challenge, Read Your Bookshelf challenge, and still have not decided. The prompt for this month was read a book that has 2 different points of view, and I still have not decided what book I'm going to use for that prompt. Like, I didn't pick a book, so I'm just going to probably use one that I read. Hopefully, I think I read one from 2 different points of view. I don't know. But anyway, I've got to figure out what I'm going to use for that so I can move on to the next prompt. I've already picked out a book for next month's prompt, which is read a book with a redheaded character. So yeah. But anyway, guys, I will talk to y'all later. Thank y'all for watching, and I hope y'all had a great reading month in March, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.